Hey guys, Emily Reynolds here with emilyreynolds.net, and I'm here doing another video on how I conquered Graves' disease. I've gotten so many questions from you guys, and I'm just getting around to one of the most important set of questions that I've gotten. So thanks for hanging in there. I know that it's been a while. I try to make as many videos as I can answering questions, and of course, I always let everybody know this has been my experience. It's not this way for everybody, but in my personal opinion, I believe that you can get over Graves' disease. You can conquer Graves' disease. You can heal from Graves' disease. You don't need to just learn to live with Graves' disease. In my opinion, it's like trying to live with someone that you're in a bad relationship with. Do you get rid of them and move on to a happier life? Or do you learn to live with them and their problems? I'm not a believer in learning to live with something that is detrimental to your life and something that can harm you physically, mentally, emotionally. We all know, if you even know someone with Graves' disease, how absolutely devastating the disease is. So why live with it? Conquer it, get over it, and get through it. So this is my story. My series of videos is on my story of conquering Graves' disease. And I just hope, if anything, that something that I tell you is inspiring, at least. But I would love if some of the information can also be applied into your own life and hopefully help you live a better life and eventually conquer Graves' disease as well. Okay, so I got some questions here. A lot of the questions were about how I felt when I had hyperthyroid, how I felt when I had hypothyroid, how I felt on the medications, how I felt after I had my radioactive iodine surgery that made me from hyper with Graves' disease into hypo. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So first, I had hyperthyroid for years, and they eventually ended up diagnosing me with Graves' disease. I suffered with Graves' disease, and if you've seen any of my other videos, you've seen I literally was to the point where doctors wanted to put me on disability. I felt like I had my life stripped away from me, and that's no exaggeration. Every aspect of my life, my physical, emotional, spiritual being was sucked dry by Graves' disease. It's a very, very, very emotionally and physically draining disease. So I, at the time, believed that my only option was medical doctors. It's just what I knew. And I was going to them, but nothing was working for me. Nothing that they recommended was working. But I didn't know anything else. I always say, you only know what you know. And I didn't know other options. So I went to specialists all over the United States. I was contacting doctors. I was doing consultations over the phone, in person. And I finally found someone that was recommended to me as a specialist in the area and area of Graves' disease and thyroid conditions. And she told me that my only option, other than die of a heart attack at 30, which was the exact words, my only other option was to have my thyroid removed. So I thought, I found the answer. I just need to have the damn thing taken out. Well, unfortunately, it's my one regret in life. Honestly, my one regret. So I did end up getting my thyroid removed, and that is how I went from hyper overactive thyroid to hypo underactive thyroid. It didn't get rid of the thyroid disease. It got rid of my thyroid, and it actually made me feel almost sicker in a way. I'll get into that. But between being hyper with Graves' disease and hypo with no thyroid, I was on a bunch of medications at different times. Some of them were tapazole, methimazole, levothyroxine, Synthroid, and gosh, there was another one. It was a beta blocker for my heart. Don't remember the name of it. And then Cytomel was one. So I mean, a bunch of different drugs. Some at the same time. I was on the beta blockers along with the thyroid medication. The beta blockers made my feet swell. They brought me from about a size 7, 7.5 in a sneaker, sometimes a little bit bigger in a boot because I have wide square feet, to a 9.5, even a 10 in a boot. So my feet got fat, my ankles got swollen, my face got very round. I was retaining tons of water. My ears felt like they were exploding. I would hear like my eardrums felt like they were bursting. It sounded like volcanoes were going off, where it was to the point I couldn't sleep at night. A couple of the other medications made me feel extremely groggy, extremely moody, and not one single medication, not one, had one good side effect, had not one benefit, should I say. Not one of the medications made me feel better. And again, this is just me. And trust me, I wanted these medications to work. I went into every single one of these appointments believing that this doctor's information was golden and that this was going to be my answer because I wanted it bad. Of course, after years and years of going, at one point I was going every 3 weeks just to get blood work and check in, and all the symptoms were changing, and they started telling me that I might need to just see a psychologist because it might just be in my head. When it got to that point, I was extremely frustrated because it's almost like doctors are calling you crazy in not so many words. And we all know, all of us thyroid people, thyroid disease people, it's not in your head. It's not in your head. It literally can change every aspect of your life. Some people are more severe than others. And of course, mine got more severe as time went on. It got very frustrating. And I started getting really angry at doctors towards the end, especially once so none of the medications worked. And I went and did the surgery. And I had my thyroid radioactively removed. I thought that was the answer. I became very frustrated afterwards because it certainly wasn't the answer. They even admittedly overdosed me on the radiation because they said that they sometimes give people too little radiation and it doesn't kill the entire thyroid. So they end up coming back and having to get it done again, which at the time it made sense to me. They said, we really wanted to, get your whole entire thyroid, make sure we killed the whole thing off so you didn't have to come do this again. Well, basically, they blasted the shit out of my thyroid and overdosed me on iodine. I'm very, very sensitive. I've been sensitive my whole life to any kind of medication, even a cup of coffee. You won't get me to shut up after a cup. So I can't even imagine what that iodine did to my body. I felt so sick. I thought I was lethargic when I had Graves' disease. And of course, Graves' disease, you can go through periods of time where you're spastic, almost like you're a cocaine addict. You're so hyper and shaky, and my nose would run and I would get nervous and chills and just the shakiness. I mean, I was like a freaking chihuahua. But I would also have those boom, crash and burn. You'd be like the freaking coked out chihuahua for days, maybe weeks, and then crash and burn, baby. You are done. Done like days of sleeping. And I know so many of you out there are like, oh my gosh, this is me, this is me, this is me. And that's a lot of the reason that I want to do these videos. If anything, like I said, I want to inspire you, and I want to help show you that you're not alone, that you're not crazy, and that people have been through this, what you're suffering with right now, and they've gotten over it. It's not overnight. It can't happen in a week. I'm not even saying it can happen in 3 months. It took me years. It took me years to figure out what worked. And I had to stay, and still have to stay so consistent on my regimen. I had somebody say on social media the other day that my routine, she says, what do you do? How do you know you're healthy from the inside out? Legitimate question. And I knew she wasn't, antagonizing me or anything. And I'm happy to answer it. So I did the list of things that I do. And, of course, I'm not perfect every hour of every day of every week of the month of each year. But these are the general things that I try to do to keep healthy. And I listed them out. And she's like, wow, that's pretty extreme. That's not feasible for most people. And she's completely right. Not everybody has the willpower, and I'm sorry, I will pat myself on the back for being very, very, very driven to heal. I was going to heal no matter what, and I would be damned if I had one more doctor tell me that I needed to go talk to somebody, and that was going to help me because my symptoms were in my head, and that maybe I was just depressed. or maybe that I was, they implied, they never said, exaggerating about my symptoms from the medications because they didn't want to believe I had all these side effects from the medications. I would be damned if I was going to let that be the end for me. I said the end is going to be me having my life back. And in turn, my hard work and my dedication and the education that I gave myself and the trial and error, I got rid of Graves' disease. I conquered it, and I became actually healthier and happier than I was previously. And I would have been happy to have 50% of my health and happiness back. When that is stripped from you, you got nothing. You have nothing without your health. If you've had cancer, if you've had a thyroid disease, even if you've had depression, an emotional disease, disorder, if you have fibromyalgia, if you have MS, if you have Crohn's, colitis, you all know what I'm talking about. It changes who you are. It changes every cell of your being. And it changes your mind. It changes your brain. It changes your outlook on life. It makes you into somebody that it's not your best you. It's not who you're supposed to be. And like I said, I'll be damned if that was going to be my life. So I understand that not everybody can do all of this, and not everybody can do it in a short period of time, and not everybody can stick to it 100%. But how bad do you want to be healthy? How bad do you want to be normal even? Or feel okay? I'm not saying like feel like you're, jumping up and down and waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning to work out and eating vegetables all the time, but how much would you pay? How much would you give? How much time would you put in to feel happy, to feel like you look in the mirror and you recognize yourself, because your body is what you know is your best. Like your mind is sharp and it's on. Like you're not exhausted and mentally drained all the time. To me, that was priceless. It was priceless. So I go off on tangents. Sorry. Okay, so surgery, iodine. When I came home after my radioactive iodine, of course I felt like crap right in the beginning, and I expected that, but it really, honestly, it got worse. I became super duper exhausted. Exhausted was my state. Exhausted could have been my middle name. I would sleep for days and days on end, and I never really got the highs anymore. I never got the elated energy chihuahua wah, anymore. That was gone, and I gained weight rapidly. I went up to about 170 at my heaviest, and when I had Graves, I was 117. I was thin, but that's kind of genetically. I was a smaller person, and I had a thinner family. So to be 170, to be wearing up to a size 13, that's overweight for me. But I was going to the gym, and I was working out, and I was eating what I thought was healthy, doing everything that I could, and just gaining weight. Completely exhausted, started getting constipated. Instead of going to the bathroom all the time, I became completely constipated. The medications they had me on made me have a mental fog. Oh my gosh, I felt like someone took my memory chip out of my brain and stomped on it. That's one thing that really bothered me after my radioactive iodine. I felt like my memory was taken from me. I would forget simple little things. I would forget people's names. And I also still haven't gotten over this part. I became dyslexic. 2 things that I haven't been able to really fix or get over or conquer is I'm dyslexic, and my eyes are very dry. When I wake up in the morning, I need eye drops. So, hey, I can deal with that. You just got to know that when I give you my phone number, just reverse the last 2 numbers, because I gave you the wrong phone number. And I just always have to carry eye drops with me. So I'm not going to complain. But there were just so many negative side effects to the radioactive iodine. And I was like, wait a minute. This was supposed to be the cure-all. You told me I'd be fine. And of course they just say, well, this is normal, and that's normal, and you're not overweight, and don't worry, and blah, blah, blah. And trust me, I was never obsessed about the weight. I was obsessed with how horrible I felt. So the most important question that I have gotten about this is, what would your other options have been? What would I do if I could do it over? What if I knew then what I know now? Well, you got 25 minutes? Just kidding. I'll say real fast. What I would have done back then, if I knew what I know now, I would have absolutely 100% gone to a holistic practitioner. I would have sought out the best of the best in holistic medicine, an ND, just as I did seeking out the best of the best, supposed best of the best medical doctors. So that's exactly what I would have done. And I would have done more research in the holistic realm. I would have literally taken MD out of my vocabulary, and I would have done it 100% natural. I would have sought out more of, because I did seek out chiropractors, acupuncturists, holistic doctors, things like that. I'm not so much into the herbs for myself, but I would have sought that out more and been more consistent about it and more patient. Admittedly, the natural route can take longer, okay? A lot of people say that, right? I've even said it myself, but when I really think about it, wait, so you're saying the unnatural route, the prescription, white pill medication, medical doctor route for curing this disease, and the holistic route. Wait, the holistic route takes longer to heal? No, the medical route, for me, people, for me, did not work. So this didn't take longer than this, because this was a bunch of bullshit. It didn't work. It was very negative. It was very draining. It ruined my liver. After all those medications I was on, doctors, holistic doctors, told me when I was getting my liver tested, because doctors didn't even tell me, hey, these are going to damage your liver. Nope, nothing. There was nothing about cleansing. There was nothing about what I should take, some milk thistle, do a couple cleanses when I was on these harsh liver damaging drugs, because your liver is your filtering organ. So you're dumping all these toxins in your body, and your liver gets on overload. It's trying to filter out all these toxins. It's like, oh my God, I can't take it. So your liver gets junked up. They didn't tell me that. So by the time I did seek out the holistic route, because medical route didn't work at all, they said a liver of, I forgot what age, but they said basically a senior citizen who was an alcoholic. You don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that when you're 30 years old and you've been through hell and back with your health. But I was like, you know what? There is an answer. There is a way out of this. All those motivational videos that you watch for training and working out and being a badass, it goes for your health too. It goes for nutrition. It goes for healing disease. It takes hard work. Nothing is given for free. And people think that if you just go eat some vegetables or you do a couple cleanses, it's all done. No, everything in life is cumulative, and I had an accumulation of junk. Of course, I didn't do it on purpose to myself. Junk, stress, divorce, anxiety, worrying about what people thought, family issues. It all built up and boom, it exploded into Graves' disease. And then I expect a white pill to fix it? Again, you only know what you know. If you're right now thinking that that white pill is going to cure you, I'm not insulting you, and I'm not saying that you're a bad person or that you're stupid or ignorant. I was there. I felt that way. And then you get confused and frustrated because that's what you're told. You're told that medical doctors have all the answers. You hear that doctors have a God complex. Well, guess who gave it to them? We did. We gave them a God complex. We think they have all the answers. But honestly, let me show you something. I want you to read this. Okay? I'll read it to you. Stay close to nature, and her eternal laws will protect you. Dr. Max Gerson. Gerson.com. Amazing man. Amazing protocol, the Gerson therapy. His daughter is now taking over for him because he has passed away. He's been doing it, forever, I think since the 30s or 40s. It is cancer treatment. It's natural. But I love this quote, and I do a lot of the cancer preventative therapy because I want to prevent all disease. And cancer, 1 out of 3 people has cancer. So he's got a lot of good information, and all his protocols I incorporate into my daily life. But I love this quote because, listen, stay close to nature and her eternal laws will protect you. Your body wants to heal. I'm telling you, your body wants to heal. And it can't have a synthetic white pill that's made in a laboratory heal you. Okay? It can't have outside stress. You can't hate your job and hate your spouse and have bad relationships and worry about money and get all freaking worked up and get headaches all the time and not be able to sleep and not treat your body good and heal. You can't. That's nature doesn't allow that. Stress gets into every cell of your body. Cigarette smoke gets into every cell of your body. GMOs get into every cell of your body and they pollute you. And these little white pills, this list of medications that I was on, they were polluting my body. So I would have gone the holistic route, and I would have had to, I guess, hope and pray that I found out about Armour Thyroid earlier. Armour Thyroid is a pig thyroid that is made in compounding pharmacies. And Armour Thyroid, I have to say it again, like a commercial, they say it 5 or 6 times so people remember. Armour Thyroid, Armour Thyroid, Armour Thyroid, okay? I think that's 5 times now. So Armour Thyroid was a savior for me. I had already started healing my body through almost a completely vegan diet. I did have fish in my diet at the time when I started doing my natural thing and some whey protein. But I started juicing vegetables and heavy supplementation program, intense cleansing, everything. So I already had cleansed a lot. Okay, my liver was still junk. But I discovered Armour Thyroid, and within 3 weeks, it was almost 3 weeks to the day, I felt it. You just know when you know. I felt it. I felt different. I knew it was working, and I was done with the little white pills. I was done with synthetic medication. I was done with medical doctors. And I feel like I always have to do a disclaimer because, you know, we live in one of those types of societies where people are like, you can't say that. I'm only giving you my story, my personal story, what worked for me. And you know, I'm the first person to tell you everybody's an individual and everybody's different. And, you know, just like there are some people who get cancer and swear that chemotherapy got rid of their cancer. And I'll tell you, I get cancer someday, knock on wood. I won't. I'm telling you, I won't at this point. But if I do, I'm going straight to the Gerson therapy and doing it naturally, and it'll cure me. Everybody's different. Everybody's got different morals, values, ethics, beliefs, and passions. And my passion is natural healing. My advice for you is to exhaust your resources in the natural realm, okay? Using food as medicine, doing your research, educating yourself. Education, knowledge is power. It's so powerful. You can absolutely throw it away and do nothing with it, and it won't do shit for you. But if you harness that power of knowledge, it can bring you to places that you've never been before. The knowledge that I gained by educating myself in my own trial and error with my body and my mind and my soul going through this whole thing, it changed my life. But I always stayed positive and always forward thinking, and I always knew the end was me healing. And I believed that wholeheartedly, like no one was going to get in my way. No one. So that's my story of how I conquered Graves' disease and what it was like being hyperthyroid, hypothyroid, everything in between, the medications, and what I would do differently. So that's a super long video, but I wanted to get to those questions, and thank you guys very much for those. Just contact me and let me know what you want to know about next. All right. I love you guys. Stay strong, stay healthy, and most importantly, be happy. Bye.